Only you. You have been chosen to see this. Only you. Listen carefully now. Do not rush. Do not look away. Do not tell anyone yet what you feel in this moment. What is unfolding right now was not meant for crowds, not meant for noise, not meant for careless eyes. It was hidden on purpose. It waited quietly, patiently, until your soul reached the exact place where it could finally receive it. I am speaking to you softly because this truth does not arrive with thunder. It arrives like a whisper in the dark, the kind that makes your heart beat a little faster even though nothing around you has changed. You may feel it already, a strange stillness, a sense that something unseen has leaned close to you. That is not imagination. That is recognition. You have been watched for a long time. Not in fear. In care. In precision. Every tear you wiped away when no one was there, every night you lay awake wondering why life kept asking more of you than others, every moment you felt different without knowing why, it was all noted. Nothing about you has been random. Not your pain. Not your delays. Not even your mistakes. I know you have often felt like the last one chosen, the one who always had to wait, the one who had to understand without being understood. You learned strength too early. You learned silence too deeply. You learned how to carry things that were never meant for your hands alone. And still, you did not harden. That is rare. That is why I am here now. There were moments when you thought heaven had gone quiet. Moments when prayers felt like they dissolved before reaching anything real. Moments when you wondered if you were invisible. But listen to me now, silence was never absence. Silence was protection. There were truths forming that could not be rushed, because if they had arrived earlier, they would have broken you instead of building you. You were separated from people you loved not because you were unworthy, but because your soul was growing faster than theirs. You were misunderstood not because you were wrong, but because you were early. You were delayed not because you were forgotten, but because timing was guarding you from harm you could not yet see. Only you were chosen to see this because only you would not misuse it. Others would have turned it into ego, into noise, into proof. You turned everything inward. You questioned yourself. You refined yourself. You kept choosing love even when bitterness would have been easier. That is why this message did not come when you asked for it. It came when you were ready to hold it without losing yourself. I know you still doubt sometimes. You look at your life and wonder if all this depth has any purpose. You wonder if anyone truly sees you. You wonder if the weight you carry will ever make sense. Let me tell you something now, gently and clearly, you are not being prepared for a small life. You are being shaped for impact that does not announce itself loudly but changes people quietly and permanently. There is something about your energy that unsettles the false and comforts the broken. That is why some were drawn to you and others pushed away without explanation. That is why people projected their fears onto you. That is why you often felt responsible for things you did not cause. Light exposes without trying. And you carry light even when you feel tired. The path that you are walking was never designed to look like anybody else's. There is a sacred individuality about your journey, a rhythm in your steps that does not have to match the tempo of any crowd. You may look around and notice others moving faster, gathering recognition, stacking achievements, and hitting milestones that society calls success. You may feel the tug of comparison, that quiet voice whispering that you are behind, that maybe you missed something along the way. But that voice comes from the part of you that still thinks life is a race. It forgets that the soul does not move on schedules built by people. The soul moves on divine orchestration, where every delay has divine purpose, every silence holds guidance, and every pause hides preparation. Do not be afraid that your path looks different. When you walk in purpose, difference is the evidence that you're being guided, not lost. You are not late. You are rare. There is sacred timing to everything that is meant for you. And because your calling carries depth, your process must too. Shallow roots cannot hold tall callings. Your path required solitude so that your roots could grow undisturbed, expanding beneath the surface while others only saw stillness. You were never meant to walk among crowds that define worth by visibility. You were meant to walk with clarity that defines worth by alignment. The time you spent feeling unseen was never a punishment, it was refinement. The divine hides his masterpieces until they're ready to be revealed. A diamond is not formed in noise or daylight, but under pressure, in darkness, in stillness. That's what has been happening with you. Every quiet day was carving strength into your spirit. Every unanswered prayer was redirecting you towards something purer, something that could not come wrapped in noise or validation. You did not lose time, you gained wholeness. There is a reason certain doors closed so abruptly. You might have tried to force them open, thinking effort could make them stay, but those doors were not exits of punishment. They were extractions of protection. Life saw what you couldn't see. The divine saw what you were not meant to carry. You cried over closed doors that were actually walls shielding your peace. People left you not because you were unworthy but because they were no longer aligned with the version of you that was emerging. It hurt, yes. Unfinished conversations, sudden silences, friendships that faded without closure, all of them carried higher meaning. The ending you struggled to understand was the proof that higher hands intervened before something drained your light completely. You were spared from what would have slowed your soul's evolution. If you could see the invisible work that happens each time something leaves your life, you'd never mourn loss the same way again. You would stand in stillness and whisper, "Thank you," even when it hurts, because you'd know that extraction precedes expansion. Every removal creates room for renewal. You weren't being punished, you were being made lighter so you could rise higher. Right now, there's movement all around you, even if the outside looks still. Something unseen is shifting. The atmosphere around your spirit is changing its weight. You felt it, the unexplainable tension, the sudden urge to release old things, the restlessness mixed with hope. You can't name it yet, but you can sense it like air before rain. That pressure isn't a sign of breakdown, it's a sign of birth. Old cycles are losing their grip. Emotional habits that kept you stuck are dissolving. You're noticing that the same situations no longer have the same control over you. What once triggered panic now meets your presence and loses its power. This is transformation at its quietest, most profound level. For so long, you thought freedom would come through fighting harder, trying to fix, trying to prove, trying to please. But freedom didn't come from more effort. It came from surrender. It came the moment you decided to stop abandoning yourself in order to make others comfortable. You began to choose peace over approval, and that small decision has been changing everything. The heaviness that used to follow you like a shadow is beginning to lift. You might not notice it all at once, but pay attention to the lightness in your chest on random mornings, or the way silence feels less like loneliness and more like rest. These are the tremors of healing. You are not behind. You never were. You are in sync with a rhythm greater than you can measure. Human timing will tell you that you should have arrived by now, that you should be doing more, achieving faster, becoming louder. But divine timing whispers something different: be still until you are grounded. Grow until you are whole. The reason things slowed down was not to punish you, it was to protect your alignment. The higher calling over your life could not bloom through hurried energy. Destiny doesn't thrive in desperation. What belongs to you requires precision, not panic. It requires you to stand in confidence without begging to be chosen. There was a time you gave too much of yourself away, your time, your effort, your softness, because you thought being needed meant being loved. But now you are learning to hold your energy sacred. The version of you that is emerging knows how to pour without emptying, how to love without losing yourself. There's a peace in your boundaries, and it's becoming visible to those who once took you for granted. Someone, somewhere, has been thinking about you in silence, remembering the quiet steadiness you gave, the care that came without condition. They now see what they lost. But this message, dear one, is not about their realization. It is about your restoration. This message is about you no longer shrinking just to fit someone else's comfort zone. You no longer dilute your light so fragile hearts can handle your brightness. You no longer make yourself smaller just to be chosen. You are remembering that your worth was never tied to who pursued you. You are now aligning with the truth that being whole is more powerful than being wanted. The energy that used to chase approval has turned inward, into self-trust, into self-respect, into faith so deep that external validation feels unnecessary. Very soon, clarity will replace confusion. It won't happen like lightning, it will come like dawn, slowly, softly, undeniably. There will be moments when understanding lands mid-sentence or in morning quiet, when you'll suddenly realize why certain things had to unfold exactly as they did. You'll start reacting differently, less out of fear, more out of wisdom. The need to prove yourself will fade. Where anxiety once lived, there will be calm, and peace will start arriving faster than panic ever could. That's the unmistakable sign that your inner world has shifted, and the universe must follow that vibration. Reality always rearranges itself around healed energy. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you're evolving. Not everyone deserves access to your becoming. The transformation happening within you is sacred, and not everyone is ready to handle the grace that's taking form. You don't need to announce what's unfolding. You only need to stay faithful to what's rising. There's holiness in privacy, there's power in silence. The next chapter of your life will not require marketing, it will reveal itself through your peace. What's meant for you will recognize you on sight. It will not ask you to shout to be seen or hustle to be chosen. Divine alignment does not depend on performance. So do not chase signs, become one. Live in such alignment that your peace becomes proof of your connection to something higher. Allow what is not meant for you to fall away without drama. You do not need to rescue what is crumbling. Sometimes letting go is the most spiritual thing you can do. Trust the quiet season you're in, though it looks like pause, it's actually positioning. The silence is retuning your frequency for what's next. In this stillness, your energy is recalibrating, your vision is clearing, your spirit is catching up to your truth. Noise cannot do what silence can. Only in quiet can your soul hear the details of divine instruction. Remember this moment. Feel what's stirring in your chest as you read these words, that warmth, that confirmation, that flood of recognition. That's not coincidence, that's your spirit remembering a truth it already knew. You have not been imagining your growth, your intuition, or your sense of unseen preparation. The alignment you feel is not fantasy, it is the unfolding of divine precision. Every pause, every loss, every delayed answer was designed to mature your ability to carry what's coming. Your soul is finally ready for what your heart has long prayed for. There is great power in this readiness. It's not loud or flashy, it is steady and unshaken. When the winds of life rise, you don't crumble anymore because your roots now hold you differently. You've learned that peace is not found in the approval of others but in the consistency of your connection to Source. You have become someone who no longer reacts to everything, someone who listens more, observes better, and chooses joy even when life feels stretched. This is your evolution, happening quietly yet powerfully. In the months ahead, you'll notice divine synchronicities more clearly. The right people will recognize your energy without extensive explanation. Conversations will feel lighter, opportunities more fluid. What once required force will begin to flow, because now you are aligned rather than striving. You'll meet people who don't drain you but ignite you. You'll step into spaces that honor your presence naturally. That's what happens when your energy matches your assignment. But even as blessings begin to appear, keep your heart humble. Don't rush to broadcast what's sacred. Let your actions whisper what your words used to shout. This next season of your life is about quiet mastery. Expressing gratitude more than need, choosing simplicity over spectacle, and moving with steady certainty that what's yours cannot miss you. You've learned to value peace over attention, alignment over applause, and that shift is your breakthrough. For a long time, you survived on hope, small but strong. It was the kind of hope that lived quietly inside you, not flashy, not loud, but stubborn enough to keep you breathing on days when breathing itself felt like work. Hope carried you when answers were missing. Hope whispered to you when proof was nowhere to be found. It did not promise ease, it promised endurance. And you honored it. You showed up again and again, even when your hands were shaking, even when your heart felt thin from being stretched too many times. That hope was never weak. It was forged in uncertainty, and it kept you alive. But now, something has shifted. You can feel it, even if you can't fully explain it yet. You are no longer surviving from hope alone. You are beginning to live from faith, large and steady. Faith does not tremble the way hope does. Faith does not bargain with the future. Faith stands still and says, I trust what I cannot yet see. This faith knows timing is never wasted. It understands that delays are not denials but preparations wrapped in silence. It knows that what arrives too early cannot be held, and what arrives too late would have missed its meaning. Faith trusts that preparation has purpose, even when it feels repetitive, even when it feels unfair. Faith sees rejection not as punishment but as direction, a gentle but firm hand turning your shoulders away from what would have diminished you. You are no longer chasing destiny, you are walking with it. This is important. Chasing comes from fear, the fear of missing out, the fear of being left behind, the fear that if you stop moving, everything will disappear. Walking comes from trust. Walking says, "What is meant for me will keep pace with me." Every step you take now is guided by clarity, not urgency. You don't need to rush ahead to prove anything. You don't need to look back to justify your journey. The divine is pacing your steps with precision, measuring not just where you go, but how you arrive. You are being taught that arrival matters less than alignment. And through it all, you are not alone. You never truly were, even in the moments when loneliness pressed against your chest like a weight. You are being guided, sometimes gently, sometimes firmly, always lovingly. Guidance does not always come in miracles or dramatic signs. Often, it comes as restraint. As a door that refuses to open no matter how hard you push. As a sudden tiredness that keeps you from going somewhere that would have drained you. As a quiet voice inside that says, "Not this. Not now." There are forces of light standing beside you, not loudly, not theatrically, but constantly. Their presence is steady, patient, and deeply attentive. They do not rush you because they know where you are going. Even when you don't feel it, you are being carried. There were moments you thought you were walking on your own strength, but you weren't. You were being upheld by something stronger than your resolve. Every synchronicity that made you pause, every intuitive nudge that redirected you, every sudden peace that arrived after a storm you thought would destroy you, these were not coincidences. They were whispers saying, "Keep going. You're almost there." Not almost there in distance, but almost there in readiness. Almost there in embodiment. Almost there in becoming the person who can receive what is coming without fear. So walk gently now. You've spent enough seasons running, chasing, proving. You ran toward validation. You chased answers. You proved your worth to people who could not see it because they were not meant to. That season taught you endurance, but it also exhausted you. Let this be the era of walking, steady, grounded, open-hearted. Walking allows you to notice what running never could. It lets you feel the ground beneath your feet. It lets you breathe without gasping. It lets your nervous system learn that it is safe to move forward without panic. Walk with awareness of how far you've come. Do not minimize your journey just because it does not look dramatic to others. Every step you took while doubting yourself still counts. Every time you chose kindness while hurting still counts. Every moment you did not give up, even when it would have been understandable, still counts. And walk with gentle anticipation of what is still unfolding. Anticipation is different from expectation. Expectation demands. Anticipation welcomes. Stay open, but also stay true. Growth without integrity is just expansion without roots. Let your integrity anchor your growth. Let it remind you who you are when the world tries to distract you with shortcuts. Listen to your intuition. It is no longer faint. It has been strengthened by experience. It has been sharpened by discernment. It will always lead you toward peace, even when the path looks unfamiliar. Do not get distracted by noise or illusion. Noise demands immediate reaction. Illusion dazzles but does not nourish. What's real will hold quietly. It will not rush you. It will not manipulate you. It will feel steady, honest, and strangely familiar, like something your soul recognizes before your mind catches up. What comes next is not random. It was never random. It is a sacred orchestration, a divine alignment meeting you at the precise vibration you have been cultivating, patiently, quietly, consistently. The frequency you now hold, born from moments of surrender and stillness, has called forth what was always meant for you. This next chapter is not responding to the energy of who you were when you were desperate to prove your worth, but to the grounded, self-assured, peaceful energy of who you have become now. You are no longer driven by panic or scarcity. You no longer try to attract through the ache of loneliness. You attract now through the peace of wholeness. And because of that, what comes next will meet you gently, without confusion or chaos. When the new begins to appear, the opportunity, the healing, the love, the unfolding peace, you will recognize it not by its volume, not by how loudly it announces itself, but by the deep sense of safety it carries. Safety is your new signal. Calm has become magnetic. Stability now feels like expansion. You no longer crave the rush of intensity that once made chaos feel alive. You are no longer entertained by crisis or seduced by inconsistency. What once kept you hooked through uncertainty now feels incompatible with your nervous system. You have matured beyond finding meaning in suffering. You have outgrown the need to earn love through endurance. What arrives for you now will not demand your shrinking. It will not require you to twist yourself into smaller shapes for connection. It will not ask you to negotiate your boundaries or silence your intuition. It will align with your peace, respect your emotional landscape, and value your honesty. It will not keep you guessing, because clarity has become your new love language. This next chapter will fit your healed energy with grace, almost effortlessly, because it was designed for this version of you all along. You did not survive the storm to go back to old patterns. You survived so that you could live differently because of what it taught you. The storm refined you. It revealed the strength you didn't know you had. It stripped away the illusions of control and brought you face to face with your truth. Survival was never just about getting through, it was about becoming awake. You learned to listen. You learned to recognize when you abandon yourself, and when you stay loyal to your soul. You learned the difference between presence and performance, between noise and guidance, between company and true connection. There was a time when you mistook comfort for alignment, when anything familiar felt safe even if it cost your peace. But now, you know better. Not everything that feels familiar is good for your spirit, and not everything that feels unfamiliar is a threat. Growth often comes disguised as discomfort. You have become fluent in reading the language of energy, able to sense what expands you and what drains you. You are no longer asking timid questions like, "Am I allowed?" You've outgrown the need for external validation. Now you ask, is this aligned? That single question is your compass. It rewires your direction, reshapes your boundaries, and refines your peace. Alignment protects you. It keeps you from choosing cycles that repeat pain under different names. It helps you see through intensity that tries to disguise itself as love. It reminds you that your soul never asks for chaos as proof of devotion. Through waiting, through heartbreak, through stillness, you've earned quiet power. You've learned to say no without guilt and yes without fear. You've learned that peace is not passive, it is power in its most balanced form. This wisdom was carved into you through nights of tears you didn't want to cry but needed to. Every unanswered prayer, every redirection that felt like loss, every delay that tested your patience, all of it was sacred training. You are no longer being shaped by survival instincts. You are guided now by alignment, grace, and trust. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders soften. Let your body remember what safety feels like. This is what presence feels like, not racing to fix, not running to prove, but allowing yourself to be. You are entering a space where effort becomes ease. Life still requires action, but now your action comes from flow, not force. You are no longer trying to control outcomes. You are co-creating with divine timing. Clarity has become your compass. Decisions rise naturally from within you instead of being pieced together from fear. You recognize that divine timing isn't something distant or mysterious, it shows up in daily details, in conversations that arrive exactly when you need perspective, in ideas that land when you finally have space to nurture them, in rest that feels deserved rather than lazy. You move slower now, but with more confidence. You understand that divine speed is not fast, it is right. You are stepping into synchronization, with your higher self, with your purpose, and with the rhythm of grace. Your outer world is beginning to reflect the calm that has been steadily growing within you. Relationships shift to match your peace. Opportunities surface that resonate with your integrity. The people and experiences who meet you now will mirror the healed vibration you hold. There is no longer a need to chase or convince. What is meant for you is drawn to your stillness. This is your confirmation. Not through thunder, but through peace. Not a dramatic revelation, but a steady knowing in your chest. Every detour made sense in hindsight. Every heartbreak taught compassion. Every loss created space for what is truly aligned. You were never being punished, you were being prepared, refined for what carries higher purpose. A destiny that demands depth cannot be rushed. A calling that carries light must be met with strength. The years you thought you lost were not wasted. They were the soil where your patience learned to bloom. They were where your discernment learned to whisper truth before your mind could catch up. They were where your self-respect took root, strong and silent. That unseen work is now bearing fruit, quietly, gently, naturally. You are ready, not because everything feels certain, but because you trust yourself more deeply than ever before. You are aligned, not because the path looks clear, but because you trust the clarity that unfolds one step at a time. You are held, not because life promises you no falls, but because even in the falling, you are guided, supported, divinely caught. This is not the beginning of a new story, it is the moment you step fully into the one you've been preparing for all along. Walk gently now, beloved. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on time for your own becoming. There is no need to hurry. The path recognizes your frequency now, it bends to greet your presence. Tomorrow already knows your name, and it does not wait to test you, it waits to meet you. The road ahead holds no punishment, only partnerships with peace. The lessons of the storm have done their work. The night has taught you resilience, but the dawn will remind you that your purpose was never only to survive, it was to live, fully, freely, intentionally. So breathe again. Trust again. Love again. Let life meet you in softness now. The hardened parts of you can rest. The future that once felt uncertain now feels like home. And in every quiet, miraculous moment, may you remember, you are not preparing for your light anymore. You are the light, and the world has finally caught up to your frequency.